Susie.
All right, ready? What's up, and welcome to another episode of the Grind Line Podcast. This is episode 44 here on January 17th, 2019. I am here with Ryan and Tyler, and we are going to do some defenseman grading today. How are you guys doing tonight?
I can feel the hate boiling inside of me.
I'm doing good. I finally got a computer to use, so it's working out pretty good, I would say. Hopefully the voice is much better on this podcast than on previous ones.
Yeah, you don't have any microphone to rub all over.
You notice the glow he's got with that Tom Brady 12 hat on, too? It's kind of annoying, actually.
Yeah, well, you know what? Tom Brady. Greg, what are you drinking tonight?
Oh, what am I drinking? I am drinking a 2019 Hop Slam because it's one of the best beers in America.
What's the other beer?
Nectar of the gods.
What's what?
What's the other bottle you had in your hand?
Oh, that's an old bottle.
Oh.
That's the one from yesterday.
Yesterday, he says.
Yeah. So, yeah, tonight we're going to go over some defenseman grading. We apologize in advance that this will probably be the most depressing episode we've ever done. It's, as we all know, not looking too bright in Red Wing defenseman world. The Wings themselves are on a 2-game win streak, but the defense is on a 0-game win streak. And we'll start with the most painful of them all, and we'll do it the same way that we did last time. I'll do a little recap of their season so far. I will let Tyler and Ryan give them grades, and then I will say whether I agree or disagree with them. So we're going to start with the person that none of us can figure out or how they're still here, Jonathan Ericsson. And we're going to go over a little bit about Jonathan Ericsson. As you all know, he was drafted in round 9 when there were 9 rounds in the 2002 draft, the last pick of the entire draft.
Mr. Irrelevant.
Literally.
Was Jonathan Ericsson. And somehow he found his way into the NHL. He has played 30 games this season and has a total of 5 points, 3 goals, and 2 assists. And I mean, I know neither of you want to talk about him, but Tyler, we'll let you start first with Ericsson, and we'll give Ryan a second to cool down before he starts talking.
Well, Greg, can I ask you something? And this is a serious question. How does this guy average over 18 minutes a night? That is baffling.
Almost.
I think about it. It's like, what does he have that makes him so special to average?
Well, at this point, I think Blashill is coaching for the tank by playing Ericsson that much.
I think he's coaching because his job is gone. He's not going to be back next year. There's no chance he's back. And
a Swedish charm.
On the Jonathan Ericsson front, though, seriously, on some real talk, like I remember a few years ago, people were defending this guy like he was, the second coming of Nicholas Lidstrom, and this guy is just like he's the opposite of Nicholas Lidstrom. Lidstrom was great; he never made a mistake. Ericsson, he makes a mistake at the worst possible time, and he just. When it comes to making mistakes, like he'll play a very decent game, and then he'll turn the puck over, and the team will score, and they'll lose the game. It's just like he makes the most mistakes on the team, but then at the worst possible time, he'll turn the puck over. And he's been miserable this year. Every time he's on the ice, it feels like the other team scores, and then he's taking penalties, and he's the worst player we've had. Probably even since the Dead Wing era.
Yeah. So what's your grade for him, Tyler?
Is F possible?
Yeah. You can give him an F. You can make up a letter and give it to him.
He's got 3 goals, so I guess maybe a D- would be like generous.
No, F plus. Ryan, can you talk to me about Ericsson without screaming?
This would be the perfect time to utilize the Facebook comment of the scream scale.
Yeah.
I'll do it so I don't get hit or kicked right now for this person that's sleeping next to me. What the fuck is Jonathan Ericsson? Seriously.
I think he might be 3 children in a Red Wings uniform.
There are truly no words. And if you follow me on Twitter in my stupidity, between him and Justin Abdelkader, I think Abdelkader took over this year, but they are the easiest punching bags on this team. And it's so frustrating because, first of all, he's making over $4 million. He's one of those fantastic guys that we've got. He was signed to, at the time, seemed like an okay contract, but at the same time, you're like, what the hell was that? And every game you go out there, you're just waiting for that moment where he's going to shit himself behind the net, turn it over, and then give a primary assist to the other team. A couple years ago, kind of to Tyler's point, you got to admit that you thought the guy could be something. You can still tell sometimes when he actually gets some open ice that he can be effective, but that's because no one's around him and he doesn't really have that much of an opportunity to fuck it up. But overall, he's like my favorite tweet of late. Of you count to 3 or less, and he's going to either dump the puck in, turn it over, or just do something stupid. And Tyler, you're generous with the D+. I think I'm going to have to roll with an F on this one.
I said D-.
Or D-. I'm sorry.
Hey, Ryan, here's 2 things for you. So the first thing, you ever try to watch him skate? He is just like the worst skater in the hits. Like, I could go out there and do a better job than him skating-wise. Maybe not faster, but his edge work, it's just like he's a bender out there.
It's like a semi-truck trying to accelerate and turn.
The other thing, the only positive thing I've ever seen Jonathan Ericsson do was, I hate to bring up bad memories, but in 2009 when they lost the cup to Pittsburgh, he scored the goal to make it 2-1. He scored the only goal in that game to make it 2-1.
In defense of him then, he was actually a good player to watch at the time. But he was also sheltered on bottom pairing minutes.
He
so it
also
actually
played on the best team in NHL history, possibly, or in this era anyways.
God.
Yeah, so Jonathan Ericsson, he at one point was decent. In 2013-14, he had 49 points, 8 goals, 41 assists. In 2014-15, he had 40 points with 35 assists and 9 goals. But then, 30 points in 2015-16, 32 in 16-17. So, I mean, he had in 2015-16 had 26 points. Then in 2016-17 had 13 points. Last season he had 27. He's on pace for the 20s. It's just, for a guy that you're paying that much money to, and you're going to keep force feeding him to us, he keeps screwing up, and he needs to go away. And if you're going to buy him out, you should have done it last offseason. He can't.
He's not even really that old.
No, but he can't skate. He can't score. Hold on a second. Let me go back because I misread things. So I was on to the next
You have some editing to do, sir.
Yeah, I was on to the next person. But actually, so Jonathan Ericsson literally has never been good. He's never achieved more than 15 points in a season, which is insane.
Christ, I never truly realized that until now.
Which is insane for a guy that they pay that much money to.
Yeah, it's nuts.
You're paying him like a second pair, fringe first pair defenseman, and he can't get more than 15 points in a season. Yeah, he can't skate, he can't shoot, he turns the puck over, and you're playing him 19 minutes a night. Jonathan Ericsson gets a triple F minus, and you can't trade him. You should have waived him last end of last season, and there's no reason that he's taking a spot from, literally, like Tyler said, one of us could go out there and perform the exact same function as Jonathan Ericsson.
You could put a cone out there, and the cone would do more.
Yeah. So,
God,
we're we're gonna move on before one of us has an aneurysm.
Thank you.
We're gonna move on to Nicholas Kronwall. So if you can see this trend, we're gonna try and cover the not so great people first and move toward the better ones. Kronwall, as of late, has actually been a little better. He has actually started hitting people. I've seen more than 2 Kronwalls this year, which is surprising to me. But Kronwall in 45 games played, which also is good for his age and shape, has 2 goals and 11 assists, 13 points in 45 games. And we will let Ryan start with Nicholas Kronwall.
So Kronwall, to me, I can't be too upset about how he's played. He hasn't been as sheltered as we may have hoped, especially for the fact that we always worry that he might just break in half as soon as he gets on the ice because you don't know what his knees are going to do. But for the role that he's played, and I don't like the fact that he's been on the power play so much. If you're going a 4-1, it's okay. But to me, I'm going to have to give him a C. I don't want to go lower. I can't go higher. But he's fit into a role where if we actually had some better defensemen, he'd be a perfect bottom pair guy on this team and a true veteran presence that you want. The reason I'm happy for him to be out there and playing, he's got 13 points through 45 games, is that he's there to help Cholowski grow and be a better defenseman, and like guys like Hronek as well. I mean, he's not going to be putting up the points that you would expect. You're not going to get 40-plus points from him this year, probably. 26 he had a couple of years ago, 27 just last year, so hopefully he can get back to that point. But as long as if he stays healthy and finishes out, it's the final year of his contract. I'm not expecting crazy outstanding things from him. I think he's doing what he needs to do, even though it's not what we're used to from Kronwall. But he's putting the body on, and he's still doing way more than that fucking Pylon Erickson that he sometimes gets paired with. So I'm really upset about it.
Well,
what's your grade?
I said C.
Okay, C.
Yeah.
Well, Nicholas Kronwall, the once great defenseman, or one of the most underrated defensemen in the NHL. And, it's not his fault that, his knees are all messed up and, he's kind of a grandpa out there. And, if he was younger, he'd probably have the C, but he's a warrior out there. I mean, he still gives it everything he's got. He turns the puck over, he's not as good as he once was and everything, but I mean, he's going out there and I mean, he's got what 40 what has he got? 45 games played this year, and He's got 13 points in 45 games. He's got more points on one leg than Erickson has on 2. So,
God, yeah.
I mean, think about it. It's like when Datsuk was at the end of his deal. I mean, obviously they're not the same player, but like Datsuk had one bad knee and the bad back and everything, and he was still pretty much the leading scorer on the team. But I guess just to give a grade here, I would say probably a C, because you can't really go much lower, and higher would probably be. I mean, I guess a C+ would be like the most, but I would go with a C.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you guys. He started the season kind of slow. He's picked it up as of late. Like you said, he's the veteran presence that's in the room to help the younger guys learn how to be NHL defensemen. And Kronwall was, I mean, he, like you said, Tyler, he's been an underrated defenseman for a long time, playing with guys like Lidstrom and playing in the shadows sometimes. But he's come on as of late. He's scored a couple goals. He most of his points have come in the latter half of the first half of the season. I think it would be his contract is running out, and Greg Krupa tweeted today that he wouldn't be surprised if they signed Kronwall in the offseason.
Oh God, here we go again.
Saying that he probably doesn't want to retire and would like to come back, and he wouldn't be surprised to see them sign him. And I said that would literally be the biggest mistake the Red Wings could make, is not letting your contracts fall off and not letting the kids play. But for as far as Kronwall's been this season, I'd give him a C. If he keeps going at the way he's going the last part of the first half, his overall grade for the season could end up being a C+.
Yeah.
We're going to move on, though. We're going to go to one Trevor Daley. Trevor Daley gets knocked a lot for not being very visible. A lot of times you don't notice when Trevor Daley is on the ice, but Trevor Daley has played in 31 games. He's had some injury issues this season. He has 2 goals and 4 assists for 6 points in 31 games. So if you notice, the trend is we're not getting a lot of offense off our blue line, and it's really biting us in the ass. But Trevor Daley he's there. That's what I'm going to say about Trevor Daley. He's there. He shows up. He plays his game, and they lose a lot. So, Tyler, we're going to let you start with Trevor Daley.
Yeah, I mean, when we signed Daley, I think it was a 3 or 4 year deal, and he was decent with Pittsburgh, but now he's regressed a bit, and he's not playing the best hockey of his career, but he's also getting older. So you don't get better as you get older, unless you're number 12, Tom Brady, of course.
Shut up,
Bryce! Shut up.
You could have used Nick Lidstrom there instead of Tom Brady.
Yeah. You just had to do
it. Okay, Nick Lidstrom. But no, seriously, you don't get better as you get older, and he's slower. He's more of an older NHL player, versus a younger, faster, more skilled NHL player. So he's more of that shutdown guy at this point of his career. But he's not even very good defensively. He's obviously he's battled injuries, which isn't really his fault. But I guess if I had to give a grade, I would say somewhere around a C-.
Ryan.
Okay. Daley to me has been kind of confusing this season. I thought he did an okay job last year. It wasn't awful. It wasn't anything that truly stood out. I was excited when they signed him because I knew it was a 3-year deal. It was a bridge type thing to kind of level the playing field for the defense that they've got going on. But the biggest thing that stands out to me is that these 3 guys that we're talking about, Eriksson's 34, Kronwall's 38, Daley's 35. That's the horrible trend of this team right now. And thankfully, I believe Daley's contract expires after this year. Is it next year? Kronwall's expires this year. Eriksson, for some fucking reason, has 1 more year. But I think that he's played a good, okay shutdown role. It's obvious that injuries must have been hampering him throughout the season because he has been extremely slow, I feel. His footwork's not been the same as it was last year. He's got guys beating him around the edge, especially getting in tight on goal. And he just doesn't seem like he's got that pop to his game that you're used to seeing over the last several years, especially when he was with Pittsburgh right before coming over and then going several years back to Dallas. But I think he's been okay. His offensive stuff hasn't been there like we would hope for. But, you're looking at a guy that the most points in a single season he's ever scored was 38. In the last couple of years, he's been lucky to hit 20, so 15 for that matter. But to me, I think overall grade's another C. He's doing what he's got to do for the defense that we got. But like you said, we're not scoring, and he's not either, so C.
Yeah, like you guys said, there's a reason that we have one of the worst defense cores in the entire league, and it's because of the age and skill level of a lot of our players. Daley, like I said,
Correction, one of the worst D-cores of all time. One of the worst D-cores I've ever seen.
Yeah, but
usually there's one guy that sticks out, and there's not one.
Well,
maybe.
Yeah, we'll get to it. So Daley, not the fastest guy, doesn't have great hands, doesn't have good setup. He's there. He is decent defensively, but like I said, a lot of nights he's invisible. I'm going to give Daley a C- to a C. He'll get the odd goal when a puck goes off him. He doesn't have a good slapper from the line. You can give him the puck all day. He might make 1 out of every 30 shots he takes might go in. So, like I said, Daley, you're getting a C to a C-. But we'll move to a little brighter spot on the D scale, and we're going to move to Mike Green. When Mike Green has been healthy, and that's only been about half the games this season, Mike Green has been good. We win most of the games that Mike Green plays. He has 26 games played, 3 goals, 14 assists for 17 points. Mike Green has improved defensively over last season, which I didn't think could happen because, again, of his age, and normally players like him have plateaued and they're not going to learn anything new. But he has improved defensively. He's always been a good offensive guy. He's number 1 on the power play. He's your power play quarterback. And I don't know if he stayed down, which he might get injured again. That's our best chance at the tank for a pick. But when Mike Green's in the lineup, you could win that game. So who started last time?
I think Tyler did.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
Ryan, you can start with Mike Green.
I'm going to give Green a solid. I'm going to go with an A-, to be quite honest. He is doing, through what you said, 17 points through 26 games. 14 of those are in assists. He's back there driving this team, and I forget what the stats are with and without him in the lineup, but they suck when he's not there, and when he is there, he is a true difference maker, like Dylan Larkin is on the front side of the for the offense.
Yeah,
in the forward group. He again is another older player. He's 33 years old, but when he's got the puck, he is able to drive the play from their own red line at the very back behind the net all the way up the ice. And of the 3 guys that we mentioned, Cronwall used to be able to do that, but he just completely lost it. And right now, he's the only one of the 4 we've talked about that can truly make something happen up and down the entire ice. Granted, his defense sometimes gets suspect, but he's made some pretty plays this year where his stick just gets in the lane or is able to disrupt a guy trying to push up the side of the ice. And he's able to stop that play and push it right back up. Yes, because of the type of team that this is, he falls victim to some of the oh shit moments and turnovers in the defensive zone. However, he's able to make up for it because he still has good footwork. He's still able to make plays when you don't think there's going to be a play made. So I'm going to go with an A- for Mike Green.
Yeah, Mike Green is the one bright spot. Well, him and possibly the next guy that we're going to talk about. But Green, when he's in the lineup, they play well. When he's not, they don't play well. I mean, that's a common denominator. You know, I mean, he's obviously the guy that they miss, but he's obviously not the difference maker when it comes to possibly making the playoffs or not making the playoffs. So, I mean, that's kind of out of the question at this point, I would say. And that's not even something that we're really, gunning for at the moment. I mean, I know the team will continue to tell you that they believe that this team is competitive enough through the playoffs, but deep down they know that they're not competitive enough. Mike Green, solid defensively. He's gotten better defensively this year. Offensively, scored some goals. He's a very good puck-moving defenseman. He's pretty fast. So I would say I would go right with you. I mean, a solid A is where I'm going to go with that. I think he's been really good, and yeah.
I think I'm going to split the difference, you guys. I'm going to give Mike Green a B+ to an A-. He is probably, for all-around game, is going to be your best defenseman by a hair this season. But he should be, because he was a former first-round pick. He shouldn't have lost much of a step. Granted, he was playing in Washington with some pretty good teams, but you got him to be your quarterback power play, or the quarterback of your power play, and that's what he's doing. And he's got the offensive touch, but stepping up his defensive game has really shown. So I'm going to go with a B+ to an A-. Probably one of the higher grades you're going to get on defense this entire season.
Also, the other thing you should say too is he's one of the players too that you really can just tell he wants to be in Detroit. I mean, he signed here, and then they had a chance to trade him at the deadline. He was injured, but it seemed like he wanted to stay here all along, and then he re-signed, and they also gave him a no movement clause as well, or no trade clause. So he wants to be in Detroit. He wants to help the rebuild, and you know what? Players like that get jobs with the team in the future and stuff like that. So,
Yeah, and he's huge to this next guy who is Dennis Cholowski. I feel like Dennis Cholowski is a Mike Green type player, but better defensively. He's got an offensive touch that I don't think anyone saw coming into this season at all. He's so good defensively that I don't think anyone saw coming into this season. He's often paired with literally garbage. They'll make Cholowski play with guys like Erickson or Cronwall, where you see Cholowski start to fly up the ice to get in the play, and like Cronwall almost passes out trying to catch up to them.
Mhm.
He needs to be paired with people like Mike Green who can keep up, because he likes to hop up and play as he should, because he can score. You can see he's got a wicked shot, a great wrister that just has eyes for the net. But when you put him with someone like Erickson, who you're going to he's going to pass over to Erickson. Erickson is going to give the puck up. Cholowski, and I hate using plus minus as a stat, but Cholowski is a career plus player, and this season he's a minus 15. And I firmly believe that is because of the defense that you pair him with every night are the ones that give up the puck most often.
I'm sure he gives up the puck a little bit as well, which
he does, but he's a rookie. He's still learning.
Yeah.
But out of 46 games played, he has 7 goals and 9 assists for 16 games. For a rookie defenseman, for a while, he was leading rookie defenseman in scoring and in points. And at the beginning of the first few weeks of the season, people were like, wow, he could be in the Calder discussion. But I think Cholowski is our blue chip defenseman right now. He's the guy that they're going to build the D-core around, and he, in the next few years, could develop into a top pairing defenseman. And we'll let Tyler start with Dennis Cholowski. Tyler, you can't hear you.
Okay. So Cholowski, he.
Try again.
So Cholowski impressed me from the moment I saw him play in the preseason game in Boston this year. I seen him play a few years ago too, but this year he really impressed me. He was playing the body a little bit. He was playing pretty good defensively, a good stick and stuff like that. And then, his skating is really graceful, and he's a good skater. I mean, that sounds like stupid to say, but he's a very good skater. He's good at moving the puck. There's not really much he's not good at. He does give up the puck a little bit, but like you said, he's a rookie. I would say, if I'm going to be, pretty hard on this, I would say a B+, but he could even be an A-.
Ryan?
Okay. I'm going to go with a B. I think he's been a solid B. There's, like you mentioned, he was right there with the other rookie defenseman, and he's the other guy not named Dahlin, or is it Heiskanen? Is that how you say it properly?
Yeah, Miro Heiskanen.
Yeah, so he's at 16 points. Dahlin's pulled away a little bit. Dahlin had 26 points, and Heiskanen's there sitting there at 20. He's really still right there with those guys if he has a couple solid games. And to your point a little bit ago about how the type of shot that we've seen from him, I just wish he would use that more. I think sometimes he looks to make the play rather than be the play, if that makes sense. And if he would, early on in the season, I think he was doing it better of just getting the puck toward the net. I wonder if he's had some talking to about trying to do it too much, because it would lead to a shot off a leg and then the puck's going back the other way. And he figured out quickly how that can happen in the NHL level. But I think that he is kind of like what we talked about with, Rasmussen, is that his pairings have been awful, and the way he's been put out there situationally has been, for the most part, awful. I wish he was on the power play more often, because he can really make a difference, like you said, Mike Green can, and really moving the puck well. And when he's been out there with Larkin and Nyquist, for instance, those guys forming that little triangle up there at the top and kind of playing the umbrella game, it's beautiful to watch. And again, to your point, he is a guy that they can build this defense around as long as he continues to get better. And I think he's gotten better and better as the season's gone on. So he's one of the few bright spots that we got back there.
Yeah, I'm going to give him an A-. For a rookie, he's done phenomenally well. He is still third in rookie defensemen behind Rasmus Dahlin and Miro Heiskanen. The next one down is Maxime Lajoie, who in Ottawa, who the Senators fans love, and he's a really good rookie also. But his 16 points in 46 games, the next one up is Heiskanen, who in 47 games has 20 points. So, and Heiskanen's getting paired with a good defenseman, and Rasmus Dahlin is the top defenseman in Buffalo and is getting paired with good defensemen. And you're going to pair Cholowski with people that are okay, and he's still going to produce. That's pretty good. For his season, he's an A- to an A for the rookie season that he's had as a defenseman, and no one, I don't think anyone at the beginning of the season thought he was going to do what he's done or be as good and polished, especially the way he started out with St. Cloud a couple years ago. He's come a very long way. He's very composed. I think he'll get a letter for this team at some point, I think. Because if you listen to him talk afterwards, he absorbs everything, and he'll really benefit from a guy like Green. But Cholowski, I'm going to give an A- to an A.
You know what's really interesting, just to add one small little thing onto the comparison piece? Miro Heiskanen's playing 23 minutes a game, Dahlin 20-37, and then you got Cholowski getting stuck with 18-30.
Yeah.
So that to show what he's been able to do with sheltered minutes on worse pairings, it still speaks pretty highly of him, I think.
Yeah, we're going to move on to a recent return to the lineup, which is Danny DeKeyser, which I struggle emotionally with. Most days, I'm not a huge DeKeyser fan, and then he does some stuff that's pretty good, and I'm like, DeKeyser's okay. I would say I like DeKeyser 1 out of every 5 games, maybe.
Yeah, I like that.
He has been injured a lot this season. He has only played 21 games and has 9 points. He came back last game and got 2 assists, I think. So, I mean, he's okay coming back from injury, but like I said, he'll go silent for 4 games, and you'll see him get some bad turnovers or not block a shot that he's supposed to block. So, I mean, DeKeyser is DeKeyser. A lot of teams say they'd like him for $1 million less than what he's currently making. And I think you might be able to trade him this season, but we will let Ryan start with Danny DeKeyser.
He is another equally confusing individual for me. Like, sometimes you watch him skate around the ice, it looks like he's pulling 5 sandbags behind him because he looks like he's not moving at all. And then there's other games where he just pops out of nowhere and he's flying around the ice, making plays, getting the puck up the ice, and he's actually being the guy that they've always talked about for the last several years. I gave a giant raised eyebrow when they first brought him on, and it's still kind of stayed raised over the last several years. He's never really truly been a standout defenseman, and this year's really been no different. However, 9 points through 21 games, because like you said, he's been hurt pretty much all season. If he actually was going to be playing a full season at that rate, he'd probably be off to his best point total ever in his career, because his highest points has been 31 points back in 14-15. So I'm going to go grade-wise for him, probably a B-.
That's generous.
It's very generous, but at the same time, for the playing half the games as everyone, and he's still outscoring our pylon and right there behind Cronwall, I can't be too upset about it, even though most of it's all through assists. Plus, I haven't been like, God damn you, DeKeyser, like I would with an Eriksson. So I'm going to go with the B-.
Okay, well, you're not going to like my grade when it comes to Danny DeKeyser. Danny DeKeyser is a guy that, when he first came up, was very promising, and I ended up actually buying a jersey, I think, in 20.
That's a ballsy move.
Yeah.
There's a rule with jerseys where you don't buy them unless they've been on the team for at least 5 seasons.
Or where is he?
I bought it, and luckily I was able to sell it a few years ago. Last year, I think I sold it for $70. I'm like, that's a win. That is a total win. Anyone that wants a DeKeyser jersey can take it. This guy is one of the most frustrating players that I've seen in my life of watching sports. He shows flashes of brilliance, and then he goes back into his same shit of turning the puck over and then being the dude's 6'4" or something like that, and the dude doesn't hit anything. He might be worse than Eriksson when it comes to doing that, because at least Eriksson sometimes will lay the body. Danny DeKeyser will try to lift somebody's stick or slash somebody or hook somebody or poke check somebody before he even thinks of hitting somebody. That guy is literally one of the most fragile players I've ever seen in my life of watching sports. Is totally infuriating to watch, because
I think he broke his hand watching Mantha fight.
That's why he just came back.
He just honestly is so infuriating to watch, because like at one point we thought that this guy was going to be like a really good defensive defenseman and, you know, maybe bring a little bit of offense to the table. But I feel like he got the contract and just doesn't care anymore. And the team's not going anywhere. So, like, okay, whatever, you know. He's always hurt now, it seems like. He's never in the lineup. It feels like he doesn't care. So a person that doesn't care and isn't in the lineup and isn't living up to their potential, I'm sorry, D+, and that's generous.
I'll split you guys. I'm going to give Danny DeKeyser a C. Like I said, he's been better as of late when he's actually in the lineup. He is made of glass and glue and scotch tape. And I don't understand. He wasn't always like that, but when he is in the lineup, he can be effective if he's played correctly. And he's a take him or leave him kind of guy for me. If he stays, put him on the bottom couple pairings. If he goes good, you get a pick for him. But I'm going to give DeKeyser around a C, low C. I give him 74%, which is lower than a C, but not quite a C minus. And we'll move on to, I think, one of the brighter spots as of lately in the defense until, you know, DeKeyser came back from injury and he got sat.
Special things happened,
which was Philip Hronek, who he had 5 points in his past 5 games. He has played 21 games this season for the Red Wings and has 3 goals and 6 assists, so 9 points in 21 games. He started off the season when he came up not great, but that's to be expected coming from the AHL to NHL big game difference. He had one really terrible game where he was literally the reason the other team scored at least 3 goals. But lately, he's picked it up. He's fast. He's got a bomb of a shot. He seems to be in the right place at the right time, and his back check is great. So I will let Tyler start with Philip Hronek.
I like Hronek. He's a bright spot. I feel like he's a guy going forward that you can not hang your hat on, obviously, but he's a guy that feels like he gets it. You know, he needs to improve defensively, but he's good at moving the puck. He has a good shot. And, you know, he hasn't played enough for me to really judge. But from what I have seen, besides that horrible game that you're referring to, I've liked a lot of what I've seen from Philip Hronek. I mean, watching him play in the AHL last year a little bit, and then, you know, seeing him play this year, there's definitely a difference. And I think that he benefited already from playing in the AHL and now coming back up. He's kind of benefited from, you know, being a top pair defenseman down there to coming back up here and, you know, kind of moving through the D pairs. I would say, honestly, he's been one of the brighter spots. I'd give him a B.
I like it. I like where you're at with that. I'm going to actually change my grade for DeKeyser and drop him down to a C, because and looking at the side-by-side, giving Hronek a B and DeKeyser a B minus, that's not fair to Hronek, in my opinion. I think that he is falling victim to the bullshit that is their defense right now. The fact that he is currently a healthy scratch while Eriksson remains in the lineup doing the things that we see him do night in and night out is extremely frustrating. Kind of to what you guys have mentioned, he reminds me of what Cholowski and Green can do. He can drive the play up and down the entire ice, and everyone else that we've talked about that's playing far more than he isn't doing that. And that's one of the biggest, when this team gets moving and actually skating and passing the puck well, and with the guys like him helping lead that charge, they're one of the hardest teams to play, and they're the most fun team to watch on the ice. But when you get him only playing 17 minutes of ice time, but still putting points on the board, and then he gets scratched for a couple games, it makes you wonder what the hell's going on. I mean, there's been times, I think earlier this season, he definitely struggled a little bit. I thought he came out looking pretty good, but it just didn't click right away. And then I think in this second iteration with him back up, he is, to me, I think he's looked fantastic, and he's been comfortable. I really like the Max Boltman piece in the Athletics talking about how he's been taking things with stride and going and just playing hockey the way that he should play hockey. And 9 points in 21 games, I think for the limited and restricted ice time that he's had, he's really shown that he can belong. And I think long term, hopefully he will be a part of that core with Cholowski moving forward.
Yeah, I'm going to agree. I'm going to give Filip Hronek a B for the, like you said, limited ice time versus production that he has. I think he is your pairing probably with Cholowski in the coming years, because they both have speed, they both can shoot, and if you keep Green, you can play. I mean, you can play Cholowski and Green and have a great pairing. You can play Hronek and Green and have a great pairing. It's who's going to make the bottom three defensemen that's really going to matter. But Hronek, he has speed. He's got great edge work. He can shoot. He can back check. He needs to be better defensively, but that's expected coming from the A to the N. And it's a B for what he's played. He shouldn't have not been sat when DeKaiser came back. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it is what it is, but his progression has been really nice so far. Mm-hmm. And we're going to cap it off by hating ourselves again. So we're going to talk about the very versatile, and I put versatile in the most largest air quotes you've ever seen in your life, Luke Witkowski, who, God damn it, and it's hard to talk. Luke Witkowski has played 17 games this season and has 2 points, which is almost close, halfway to matching his total of 4 points each of the last 2 seasons, which are his highest point totals ever in the NHL. The first season he played with Tampa, he was in 16 games and had 0 points. The second time he was with Tampa, he had 4 games and 0 points. The third season with Tampa, 34 games, 4 points. The Red Wings, 31 games, 4 points. And now 17 games, 2 points.
God,
so
he sucks.
I am not sure Luke Witkowski will ever have more than 4 points, because it seems like that's what he's on pace to hit every season of his goddamn life. I think his contract's over. If he gets re-signed, I'm not watching hockey next season. We're going to switch to a Tigers podcast or some other kind of podcast. We'll switch to a Griffins podcast.
No, we're not.
I am not reporting on Luke Witkowski ever again. Luke Witkowski gets an F. I hate all of you people that are like, he's got the most heart on the team and the grit. And I'm like,
yeah, sure he does.
Like I said last time, if grit and heart could make Stanley Cup winning teams, then you'd have a full team of Luke Witkowskis and Luke Glendennings. Like, I don't understand how you can say he is needed on this team when he fights at the most inopportune times. The fighting does not help us win at all.
No.
I've maybe seen him make 3 good defensive plays, period. And I can't say anymore. If you want to, it's not 1980s anymore. It's not the 1990s anymore. These guys are a dime a dozen. They're not needed. You need more skilled players. If he could fight and put up points, fucking good for him. But I don't want him anywhere near the lineup. He could be the best locker room guy ever. Great. keep him in the locker room and off the ice, and don't let him take up a goddamn roster spot. I don't think you need a roster spot just to have a cheerleader in the goddamn locker room. Ryan.
Are we allowed to give like NA grades? Like not applicable?
You can give. I think there's zeros are worse than Fs because that means you get no credit.
Like, what's frustrating is that at times I wish that this SOB and his crazy antics were sometimes on the ice over Eriksson. That's how much I hate Eriksson. That's what I've come to. And like when he is on the ice, when they go 7D, I actually don't mind it sometimes because that means he's going to be on the ice when Eriksson might be, and that means it's actually 40 seconds of heaven. But I can't fault the guy. He's making six figures, making the minimum. I'm assuming. I don't know what his contract is off the top of my head. He's making a shit ton of money to not play hockey, but play hockey. So
he's making a shit ton of money to go fishing most days.
Yeah, so good for him and being just good enough, but really not at all.
Like Justin Abdelkader.
We're not going there. I've already got my hate out of the system. But I don't know.
Luke Witkowski is making $750,000.
Yeah, that's a lot more money than I am, and he gets
for also not playing hockey.
Yeah. So I can't fault him for that. So I really don't have anything to say, positive or negatively. He's only got 10 penalty minutes this year, so that's a plus, I guess. But that's really all I got. In the games I've watched of him, he hasn't done anything too stupid and anything, good.
So Ryan gives him a nothing.
I'm going with a null, NA.
A system error when trying to grade Luke Witkowski. Tyler.
Well, all I have to say is, boy, does Luke Witkowski suck. He is a horrible man. I guess you get a little bit of credit for being physical, but like he's not even out on the ice enough to even be physical. And to the people that like Luke Witkowski, like, are we that far away from remembering how good the Red Wings were, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago? Are we that stupid now that we think?
But Tyler, who's going to protect our rookies? That's their argument. Who's going to protect our rookies?
Yeah, because you still need to protect rookies in 2019, you dumbass. I mean, seriously, you don't need to protect rookies. You don't need to fight. You really don't need – well, I mean, you need to hit, of course.
Well, here's the question. How many times has Dylan Larkin fought, would you say, roundabout?
In his career?
Yeah, no, in the NHL.
3?
How many times do you think?
3 times.
How many fights has he lost?
I don't think any.
0, because he kicks everyone's ass who tries to mess with him.
Well, yeah, you got a name like D-Boss, you can't lose.
Exactly. So what is the use, Tyler, of Luke Witkowski?
A sweet beard.
Witkowski, this isn't 2008 where you bring Darren McCarty back, and Darren McCarty had a great winning goal in the Stanley Cup final, and you remember him for that, beating his shit out of people, and
it's because Darren McCarty could actually score goals.
Darren McCarty was a boss, dude. He was like a boss, and then his post career is sick too. Like, seriously, Luke Witkowski, just to sum it up, he gets a 0 from me as well. Like, this guy does nothing for the team besides being the team cheerleader. And, that sounds bad because I'm sure he's a great guy off the ice. But, dude.
You can be a great guy and still suck at hockey. I'm a great guy, and I suck at hockey.
Jonathan Ericsson.
I heard Jonathan Ericsson's a prick.
I'm not even sure Jonathan Ericsson is human.
Yeah.
But I'm going to agree with both of you. Luke Witkowski is a person that puts on skates and sometimes goes on the ice.
Can we put a positive spin on the end of this? This is kind of a depressing podcast.
Yeah, we went right from shit to shitter.
All right, so I'm also going to give Luke Witkowski an F to a not applicable. Here's my positive spin. I ran Tankathon's NHL draft lottery simulator today 10 times. The Red Wings got a top 3 pick 5 times, and of those 5 times, 3 were the number 1. So that is the positive spin at the end of my night, because right now we are we are 3 points from the bottom of the league and right now sit in 5th at an 8.5% chance of winning the Jack Hughes sweepstakes.
You know what's sad is I'm just numb to them losing now at this point. They compete for an entire game, well, 2 periods of a game, and then they somehow still pull off fucking something up, like pulling a Jonathan Ericsson turnover, primary assist to the other team. And
at this point,
lose, it's just it's whatever. I just don't even care.
At this point, I'm more angry when they win. So, like the other night, they came back and won. I'm like, you guys were doing so good at falling down the standings and getting a great draft position, and you go and win a game. Great. Way to mess it all up.
How dare they win the game, huh, Greg?
Yeah, how dare they?
But
that has been actually. You know what? Can we do this real quick? And we've got a few minutes. This is going to be another long podcast, but can we really quickly give goalie grades? I'm going to say I'm going to start with Jimmy Howard. Jimmy Howard has been phenomenal this season. He has no help in front of him. He has faced the 3rd or 4th most shots in the entire league. He is stat-wise the 9th best goalie in the league this season. And if you keep yelling at me, Jimmy Howard sucks, your opinion on hockey cannot be valid about anything. And Jimmy Howard this season gets an A-.
Yeah,
I'd have to completely agree with you there. A solid A. I mean, you've got 32 games played for Howie. He's been healthy pretty much all season, with the exception of a couple games right there where he tweaked his back, I think it was.
Yep.
He's 13 wins, 12 losses, but he's got a .917 save percentage and a .271 goals against. If you would have told me that was going to be Jimmy's stats, especially his goals against going into this season, I would have called you a liar. He's been an up and down guy, I think, for most of his career, but he's been just good enough to keep this team relevant, especially when they're still making the playoffs. He's shown that he can be the number 1, and this year I think he's just somehow, even though he's 34 years old, he's elevated his game to a new level that I don't think we've seen before. It's just that the team in front of him now has progressed that to that point where you're just like, well, shit, we finally have a goalie doing something for us. We can't do anything with it.
Yep. So you guys would agree with my assessment of Jimmy Howard?
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I would say A-.
So our other goalie is Jonathan Bernier. God damn it. There are a lot of people that think Jonathan Bernier should be played over Jimmy Howard and will yell at me that Jimmy Howard is garbage and Bernier has the possibility of being better. So the stats also show that Jonathan Bernier is the 4th worst backup goalie this season. He is not good. It's hard to call him okay. He'll have a game where he's lights out, and then he'll have 3 games in a row where he lets in 5 goals. So I'm going to give Jonathan Bernier a D+. And I mean, we would have done the same with Jared Coro as we did with Jonathan Bernier for a lot less money.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Bernier was a guy that we thought could come in here and could be a good 1-2 punch with him and Jimmy. And he has done just about everything but that. He's given up a lot of goals. However, he has given up a lot of goals, but at the same time, he has that wretched, and I mean wretched, decor in front of him and forwards that really don't score a lot of goals. So, I mean, I guess in some sort of way, it's not his fault totally, but he does give up some leaky goals, and I guess D+ is where I would go with that as well.
I think we were all pretty happy and excited with what he could possibly bring with Howard being hopefully on the way out, and because of his age and so on and so forth. But I mean, if he keeps it up at this rate, he's going to have easily his worst season of his career.
Yep.
Yeah. So goalies are done. It's yeah, it's just a sad state of affairs right now in the Detroit Red Wings hockey land. But we will find something happy to talk about next time, I swear. It's
Michigan
depending on
football.
how we see play. Yeah, Michigan football. Yeah. But
That's
we're
not
gonna
bad.
wrap it up. We're gonna wrap it up tonight. Tyler, what is your Twitter handle? Let's see if you can get it on take one this time.
I will get it on take one. You can follow me on Twitter at SealDog91.
Ryan.
Was your girlfriend holding up a sign to tell you what you had to say right there?
No, she wasn't.
Ryan.
My Twitter is at RDRyan33.
You can follow me on Twitter at Bringing the Wing. You can follow the Grindline Podcast on Twitter at Grindline Pod. I hope you like our new intro music. It took me about 45 minutes to find that and edit it correctly. So you can find our podcast on Spotify, on iTunes, on Stitcher, on Podbean, on whatever platform you're currently listening to us on. We do have a Facebook page now. If you search the Grindline Podcast on Facebook, you'll find our page. You will also find Grindline Podcast group. You can join that group and yell at us and voice your opinions and let us yell back at you. It's a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
But for Greg, I'm Greg.
You're Greg.
I am. For Ryan and Tyler, I am Greg. Stay classy, Hockey Town.
Have a good night, guys.